for Yuval Noah Harari. The other day, I replied to your post on X. I have an answer to your book. I would like to talk with you to end the wars in this world. I am a housewife from Kyushu, Japan, and I was a clinical psychologist before I got a mental disorder. I go by the name Okusama philosopher and use the pen name Shiori Furuse for my creative activities. I have published four books through Amazon Kindle, one collection of quotes, one novel, and 2 poetry collections. First, please understand that my appearance style and my pen name are forms of expression with meaning. I am likely not a comedian. I will read the result of asking ChatGPT about Shiori Furuse. Shiori Furuse is a Japanese philosopher who formerly worked as a clinical psychologist and school counselor. She is a survivor of sexual abuse, and while confronting her own mental illness, she achieved self-enlightenment at the age of 40. Currently, she runs a YouTube channel where she provides content related to psychology and philosophy. Additionally, she has published a book titled Onna no Buki, A Woman's Weapon. It seems that AI recognized me as a philosopher, and I am very pleased. As I wrote on X, my dream is world peace. The registration of Japanese language as a world cultural heritage, receiving a Japanese literary award, or receiving a Nobel Award of Peace or literary. One reason I focus on the Japanese language is because it is my native tongue, but there are other reasons as well. Of course, other languages with woman's strong mental influences likely exist, but this is one proposal based on population usage and international circumstances. I listened to your book, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, as an audiobook. As I mentioned earlier, I suffer from a mental disorder. Even if one achieves enlightenment, overcoming trauma that the body remembers is difficult. I take medication and receive medical and welfare support, for which I am grateful to the Japanese people. As a former clinical psychologist. I respect Freud and wish to contribute to the development of mental health and welfare in the future. I have trauma and cannot read books much, as it makes my head spin, so I cannot become a scholar. I am an expressionist, philosophizing from my experience. When I read books, it is to check if my thoughts are correct. However, the reason I read your book was that my husband's Chinese colleague highly praised it. I thought there must be something important written in it, so I read it. My mother left home when I was in junior high school. My parents divorced due to religion conflict, and the divorce was finalized through mediation when I was in high school. I attended the mediation sessions. In other words, my adolescence was colored by religious war. During that time, I also witnessed violence from my father towards my mother. For me, religious war is deeply painful and intensely concerning issue. In the midst of the painful wars happening now, various things have occurred in my life too, and I achieved enlightenment a year ago. I have struggled with the faith my Jehovah's Witness mother instilled in me for 25 years. Achieving enlightenment and losing worldly desire is good, but it was very painful to not believe in anything. However, now I have overcome that, and I'm living. I believe in life. Even though I have achieved enlightenment, as a Japanese mother, I still worry greatly about raising children in these times. Moreover, having achieved enlightenment, I feel a strong sense of duty to somehow address the problems of suffering world. It may be presumptuous, but I have mastered the courage. I want the nationality of earthing. United Nations, please grant me the nationality of earthing. When I was in high school, I stayed with a host family in Australia. My host mother, despite my connection with my own mother, still warms my heart. My host family were Protestants, and we went to church on Sundays. I have also been to Greek, Egypt, Thailand, China, Taiwan, and South Korea. For me, Earth is my homeland. Poem Izanami. I read it. Izanami is the mother goddess in Japanese mythology who gave birth to the land and presides over the afterlife, this life. Izanami. I dive in the boiling mantle, slips aside, slipping smoothly, sideways and sideways. Oh, my toes come into view. Curled up, I become a circle, a ring, round and round, welcoming all. Come on in. Now I can sleep. Good night. I can sleep with anyone. Good night. Now I have rewritten mythology, and for the Japanese, our land is the earth. In Japan, there is a concept called animism. To achieve the SDGs, I have devised a new form of education, summarized under the subject names sun, moon, fire, water, tree, gold, soil. My modest poetry collection, curriculum guidance, contains that curriculum. So please take a look. The link is in the description. In a class I took as an education student, I was predicted that in an internet society, it would be impossible to keep a secret in child rearing. Therefore, I do not recognize children as children, but as human beings. I try to be as honest as possible, matching their readiness, and treat them with respect. I may not be able to write a proper response to your book alone. However, I will make some effort to express myself now. Sorry, my daughter has coming. This is husband room. The conversation, my talk may jump around, but please listen for a little while. Japan has a language and dynasty that have existed since a time without writing. Letter. Japan originally had sounds and meaning, and later adapted Chinese characters to fit these. The evolved to into a complex writing system with kanji, hiragana, and katakana. The invitation of katakana made it possible to incorporate foreign words and cultures. The oldest known ruler in Japan is Queen Himiko from the 2nd century. This has long been common knowledge in Japan. In 8th century, myths like historical texts, Mother Goddess had power comparable to father gods. The culture of its country embeds the language, doesn't it? I am a housewife. The role of housewife emerged in post-World War II, unique among developed countries. Traditionally, housewives have managed the salary of their salaried husband and controlled household finances. My husband and I also do this. I believe the power held by housewives, despite lacking military or economic strength, is due to the Japanese language. I imagine Queen Himiko was not a cool beauty as often depicted, but a peace-loving, altruistic, altruistic and cute girl like Shizuka from Doraemon. Perhaps she was a conforming figure like the heroine of Sailor Moon. We Homo sapiens have selfish genes and self-defense instinct, but can become altruistic through religion, especially Christianity, which strongly promotes altruism. Altruism and compassion. Altruism is very important word in this talk. Sorry. However, under capitalist free competition, one cannot acquire money without surpassing others. Housewives were only people who do not need to make money. Our rule is always hardly our children's future life of future and pure mind. We must have a pure mind. Feminism has brought economic power to women for our social advancement. And in that sense, Japan may be behind. However, Japanese wives have always held immense power within their households. Therefore, in Japan, it is possible to become a beloved and happy wife, cherished for life. むしろ For us, we must be so. This is because the language allows women to manage household politics through communication and empathy, even without military or economic power. As an Okusama philosopher, I want to promote this idea as a perspective within capitalist society. I believe this could be an answer to Harari-san's book. I am not a scholar, so I may have something wrong. So to linguists, economists, sociologists, historians, and philosophers in Japan, if you are listening, please help me. Correct me if I am wrong. Finally, I will read one more poem. A new work. The sky has cleared. The long rain has ended. The sky is clear. Who cleared it? 神は紙。God is paper. 神は詩。詩 in Japan means paper and poem and death. Write, write, write. Write, write, write. Write heartedly. Write correctly. Correct, right. Lamp of hope.